Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF Hayomi, Bava Kamma, DAF Samach Gimel. We are towards the bottom of Samach Beis and Beis, but perhaps, for clarity's sake, let's just back up to the beginning of this section in the Gemara, so it's Samach Beis and Beis, at the two dots, which are 10 lines off the bottom of the Amud. So the Mishnah says, this double payment, penalty that a ganav, that a thief will pay upon being convicted. So he pays double what he took. This pretty much applies to anything that he may have taken, whether it's a living being, just an item. How do we know in fact this is so? That kefil applies to any item that he stole. The Tanur Rabbanan, we have a brisa which focuses on a pasuk which begins with the words Al Kol Dvar Pesha, which actually is not really speaking about an actual thief, rather a toyin ta'anas ganav, which we're going to learn about in today's daf. It involves a shomer, a person who was entrusted with an item. He betrayed his trust. He stole it. So when the owner came back to collect it, he says, well, sorry, it was stolen. It turns out that he himself pocketed the item. He turned into a sort of a thief, in which case, if that's discovered, he pays kefil. So he's sort of a ganav. So we equate the halacha of a ganav to the halacha of the shomer, who is a toyin ta'anas ganav, on which we have a pasuk which says like this: Al kol dvar pesha, for any violation, for any thievery, which is a very general term, right? Klal includes any type of item that he may have stolen. Then we have a very specific list: al shoir, al chamor, an ox, a donkey, al sev, al salm, a sheep, or an article of clothing. Prat. Here we have specifics. Then we have another general, all-inclusive term: al kol aveda, chazar v'kolal. So this gives us a klal, uprat, uklal, that three-step formula, which allows us to include anything that can be equated to these specifics, anything that contains, elements that are similar to those specific items. Yatadan, elke in aprat, you can only include something which is similar to those specific examples, which is ma haprat mefurash davar hametaltel v'gufa moment. What elements do we find? Which characteristics do we see in those specifics? Metaltel, something which moves. Gufay mammon, it has inherent value. Av kol davar metaltel, gufay mammon. Likewise, any other thing which contains the same elements, has the same characteristics, it's metaltel, it's gufay mammon. You pay kefil for any of those, as opposed to what? What's excluded? What's off the list? Something which does not feature any of these elements, yatsu karkois, as opposed to properties. So a thief chases somebody off his land, there's no kefil. She'ein metaltalin, because it's not something which moves. We exclude an evet knani as well, because the Torah equates it to karka. It's considered like an estate. Shtaras, as opposed to documents as well. Sha'ava b'shem metaltalin. This has the metatal element. It's moved, it's mobile, but it doesn't have inherent value. It's meant to, use it to collect money, but it's not ein gufan moment. And finally, yatsa hegdish. You don't pay kefil for stealing something from hegdish. Re'eu ksiv, because the pasuk by the ganav mentions re'eu, your equal, your friend, as opposed to hegdish. Okay, so this is what we got to yesterday. Continues the Gemara. I have a kasha on this. How could you include anything? Pretty much anything. Ima prat mefurash, davar shenevlase, mitame b'maga b'masa. And when it comes to living beings, to balei chaim, to animals that were stolen, perhaps we have to equate them to the animals mentioned on this list, which is a shoir v'chamor. And what's unique about those two animals? If they die, they're an avelas mitame by way of touching, maga, and by way of carrying, and masa. Av kol davar shenevlase mitame b'maga b'masa. So fine, you include others that have the same ability to transfer tumah through contact or through carrying. But perhaps birds are not included. Fowl doesn't have that ability to be metabi b'mag b'masa. Well, says the Gemara, how could you suggest to rule out anything that cannot be metame b'mag b'masa? What do you mean? The pasuk mentions articles of clothing as well. That's not something that's metame b'mag b'masa. So what do you mean? Well, says the I didn't mean that. that far. Amri, so the response given was, Anan bebalei chaim kamrinan. Of course, kefil applies to even articles of clothing. We're not going there. We're just saying like this. When it comes to living beings, living creatures like animals, let's compare them to the animals mentioned on this list, the shor v'chamor. Ema, we should say like this. Bebalei chaim, when it comes to balei chaim that were stolen, you need something which is specific. Only something that has that characteristic. But something that doesn't get included. Why are we saying that? The hokal chad v'chad klal uprat ba'apei nafshi dafshin alei. Because, this is a very unique combination. We have many pratim, many details, many specific items. Right? So let's not just lump it all together and say, well, anything that compares to any of these, specifics works. No, each one should be dealt with separately. And when it comes to Baalei Chaim, comes to animals or living things that were stolen, let's compare them to the animals in this list, Shor v'Chamor, which have the Maga Ubamasa, but not Aval Oifes Loi, but not birds. So that's a solid question. Says the Gemara, okay, in came, because if that were true, Nichtav Rachman Achat Prata. If the point is to compare other Baalei Chaim to Shor and Chamor, let us just say one of these two, either Shor or Chamor. And we'll know that, the other Baalei Chaim have to be comparable to the Shor or the Chamor. The fact that Torah mentions two Baalei Chaim, Shor and Chamor, tells you that you can broaden your horizons. It doesn't have to be completely comparable to the Shor v'Chamor. Well, says the Gemara, Hai Nichtav Rachmana, which one should it say? Which one would suffice? Ikas of Rachmana Shor. No, we need both. There is a reason. Because if the Torah would just say Shor, I would say, well, what's unique about a Shor? It can be brought as a carbon. Karev l'gabi mizbeach in. So, Kefil only applies to something that has the potential to be brought as a carbon. She'ein. Karev l'gabi mizbeach loy, but something which cannot be brought as a carbon doesn't qualify. That's why it says Chamor as well. Chamor can't be brought as a carbon, right? Because of Rachmana Chamor, and likewise, if we only say Chamor, I would say, well, that's special. Havamina, I would think, Kodesh b'Bechira in, only an animal which has the potential to have the Kedusha of a Bechira, like a Chamor, firstborn Chamor has a Kedusha. So only that type of animal, or a kosher animal which has Kedushas Bechira, Kodesh b'Bechira in, only there does kefil apply. She'ein Kodesh b'Bechira loy, but if it doesn't have that Kedushas Bechira, like a horse, there's no kefil. So perhaps that's why the Torah had to specify, had to spell out Shor and Chamor. Nothing's extra. Well, Amri, the answer given was, Imkain, if it was for that reason alone, Nichtav Rachmana Shor v'Chamor, then the Torah would just say those two, Shor and Chamor, to teach you these points. But remember, we have the third animal mentioned on the list as well, which is the seh, the sheep. Lamali, why do we need that for? Apparently, to broaden our horizons and to allow all animals on this list, Shmaminol Asui Eifes, to include fowl as well. Well, the Emal Asui Eifes Tahirim. Dumi the seh, perhaps we'll include Eifes, but only those that are kosher, like a seh, which is kosher. Dimitame Bgodim Abeis Habliya. And what's special about Eifes that are tar? Because although an Eif, when he dies, is not Mitame B'Magu B'Masa, but there's a halacha called Mitame Begodim Bebeis Habliya. A person eats an Eif that died, so while he's swallowing it, his begodim become tummy in the Beis Habliya while the food is going down, his throat. Aval Eivas Tmeim delays tuma, but when it comes to non-kosher birds that don't have any ability to transfer tuma, right, through this idea of a Beis Habliya. Right, so perhaps Aval Eivas Tmeim delesbu tuma delay mitami, right, begodim a Beis Habliya. Rashi says there's no tumah at all by Eivas Tmeim. So perhaps kefil does not apply. They're not going to be included on the kefil list. So we're sort of stuck now. Okay, you found a source for pretty much anything, but what about Eivas Tmeim? Well, it says the Gemara Koil When it says al kol dvar pesha, kol is a very broad term. Kol ribuyahu. So instead of working with the klal prat and specifying and limiting, everything's included. Kol ribuyahu. What else says the Gemara? Really? Whenever it says kol v'chaleicha dechsiv kol ribuyahu, it's all inclusive. V'agabi maser. You may remember we had this same Gemara, almost word for word, a couple of weeks ago. The same idea with the kol, with the meiser. V'agabi maser. When it comes to spending maser sheni money in Yerushalayim, dechsiv kol, it says the word kol is there as well, and we still limit it. V'kadarshinalei b'chalal prat. We apply the klalam prat formula to limit things, to give you specific instructions in terms of what to spend your maser sheni money on. The Sanya, we have this brisa which focuses on the words in the pasuk v'nasata kesef. So a person converted the kedusha of the maser sheni, threw it onto money, take the money to Yerushalayim, you spend it on what? Something which is edible, something which belongs on a very specific list. V'nasata kesef b'koil asher te'aven nafshecha. So b'koil is a klal, all inclusive. Then it has specifics: babakar, ubatzoin, ubayayin, ubashecha, right? Animals, wine, beer, prat. Those are specific items. Ubachol asher teshalcha nafshecha. That's again chazer v'kolal, an all-inclusive term, which gives us that three-step formula: klal or prat or klal, and you can include something which is similar, which shares some of the elements on this list. With the items on the list. Yatadan elkein prat, you can include things which are similar, which resemble the specifics here, which is like this. Ma prat mefurush. Just like the pratim, the details, are very specific in terms of the fact that they contain the following elements. So we have the bakar, the tzoin, the yain, v'sheicher. Those four things are all unique in a sense that they share the following elements. Pri, they're a fruit, they're an offspring, something produced by another thing that's been produced as well. So let's say an animal, which is a pri, coming from the mother, which is also a pri of its own mother. Wine is a pri produced from grapes, which comes off the vine. Ugdula karka, and likewise they all nurture from the ground, either directly off the ground or they sort of feed on the ground. So that's the common denominator amongst these items. Afkoil, same thing regarding anything else. You want to include something else, it has to conform to this type of characteristic. It has to be pri v'gedulei karka. There you go. So we broaden the list. We don't just stay with these four, but we're still limiting, despite the fact that it says b'koil, right? It says b'koil asher te'aven nafshecha. And you just told me that the koil is an all-encompassing term. Amris, the answer given was like this. Big difference between koil and bakoil. When it says bakoil klal, that's a klal. We broaden it, right? We expand it, but not unlimited. Koil ribuyu, but the word koil is different. That's all-encompassing. When it comes to kefil, we include anything. Another option can be koil klalahu. Typically, even koil is just a klal. It's a general term, but it's not all-inclusive. But still, koil dahacha ribuyu. Over here by kefil, the word koil includes everything. Why? Because it's an extra word, evidently coming to broaden it and include every item. Michtik siv meikara. You see, initially, we already have a klal prata klal. Klal or prata klal chsiv regarding stealing, regarding kefil. Ki tinishal re'eyu. Klal, it's a klal. Right? He gave him something to watch, pretty much anything. Kesav oikelim, monies or utensils, that's a specific list, that's prat. Then it says lishmar, to guard, to watch. Hadavar kol. Once again, it's a broader term. So, we already have this idea of klal prat to klal when it comes to the shomer, who betrayed his trust, who stole. V'isal kadayta chai, al kol dvar pesha nami l'chlal prat asa. So if you're going to tell me that the next pasuk, Al Kol Var Pesha, which is the focus of our sugya, is once again coming to repeat the same formula, klal prata klal, to give us a limited list in terms of potential items for kefil application. So these details that we had in our pasuk, shor and chamor, se, and so, should have been written back up there in the first pasuk with the other klal prat. Al Kol Var Pesha lamali. So why does the Why do we have this new pasuk called Var Pesha, which is sort of repetitious? Shema Mino Ribuyu, apparently the point is to teach us that we're not limiting the kefil items. We want to include everything. But now back to the question. Fine, Ribuyu, you've included everything, but Hasha the Amr's Koil Ribuya, so once Koil, a Kol Var Pesha includes everything, so then why do we need those specific items, those specific examples of Shur and Chabar and Se and Salma? Koil Hani Prati Lamadi, what's the point of mentioning all these details if in any case you're including everything in kefil? Answer is, we're leaving out some very, very, very few items. Chad L'mutei Karka, V'chad L'mutei Avodim, V'chad L'mutei Shtoris. One of these specific examples is coming to exclude Karka from kefil. One is Avodim, one is Shtoris. What about the fourth thing? Salma, the article of clothing mentioned in the pasuk L'mutei Davar She'eino Mesuyim, is also coming to exclude something which the owner can't necessarily prove that it's his. Rashi says the Baal doesn't have a simon in it, so there's no kefil on account of the ganav. Taisus has a kasha. Who cares if he has a simon or not? So, anyways, Taisus has a different pshat. He says Davar She'eino Mesuyim means it doesn't have a set, value. It doesn't remember exactly how much it was. Was it 3 pounds of flour, 4? So you can't obligate kefil on account of these uncertainties. He has to have a very specific claim, and only then can he generate, trigger the kefil repercussion. What about I'll call Aveda? So we said I'll call Var Pesha is marba everything. The pratim, the four of them, each one have a specific role to exclude something. What about the last part of the pasuk? I'll call Aveda. That's coming for another purpose. You could Rav Chia Ba'aba. Not only does a shamer end up paying kefil if he betrayed his trust and he stole the item under his care. If a person found an aveda, lost item, owner comes running, where is it? Oh, it was stolen. Turns out it was stolen by him. He pays kefil as well. So this lashon I'll call aveda includes even an aveda, a lost item which was stolen by its finder. T'nan Hasan. We have a Mishnah which reads like this: Heichan piktoini. Where's my deposit that I gave you? Amar le Abba says, sorry, it was stolen. It was lost, not stolen, lost. Mashpiachani. Okay, I'm imposing an oath on you. V'amar Amin says, sure, I agree, I accept the oath. Ve'edim mi'idim oisesh achlei. A minute later, 2 witnesses come running. What do you mean? You stole it. You ate it. Mishalem es hakeren. There's no kefil because he never pretended that it was lost. He never claimed that it was stolen. That it was stolen. He claimed that it was lost. So at most he pays the actual keren, the actual principal, but no more. Suppose instead of the Adam coming, he admitted on his own that I swore falsely, that I really took it myself. Mishalem keren v'chaimish v'asham. That's the halach of the keren, the chaimish, the extra fifth, and the asham, the carbon that it brings. Because when one person admits, then he triggers the keren v'chaimish asham system. But this is all because he just claimed that it was lost. But if he claims that it was stolen, that's the topic of our sugya. So that takes us into the next case. Heichan pikdoini, where's my item? Amalei Nignam, he says, sorry, it was stolen in the middle of the night. Mashpiachani. Okay, here's a shvuah of Amin, I agree. Va'edim midim ma'isa shaganva. Edim come and say he stole it. Now comes Misham Tashlam Kefil, he pays double. But if he admits on his own, Misham Karen V'chaimish V'asham, he pays only Karen V'chaimish V'asham because Kefil only gets triggered by the Edim. Bottom line, what do we see from here? B'toyin Tanas Ganav, when a person falsely claimed that it was stolen from him, the Mishal Tashlamei Kefil, that triggers a double payment. Aval b'toyin tanas avad lo Mishal Tashlamei Kefil, but if he pretended it was lost and it was discovered that he took it, there's no Kefil payment. That's number one. So toyin tanas ganaf, yes, Kefil. Toyin tanas avad, no Kefil. Number two, hafilu toyin tanas ganaf. Even in that, we say b'shvua hu de Mishal Tashlamei Kefil only if he exonerated himself with a shvua, and then it was discovered that he stole, then he pays the kefil. There's no shvua involved. There's no kefil. So one, that only a toyin tanas ganav pays kefil. Two, only if he did a shvua. How do we know that these things are true? Tanurabanan, we have a brisa focusing on the pasuk im yimatze hagan. So again, we're speaking that a person was entrusted with the item. Turns out that it was stolen, or he claimed it was stolen. We discovered the ganav, we found him. Says the Gemara, no, actually, im yimatze ganav. Who's the ganav? The man himself, the shomer himself. B'toyen tanas ganav because of medaber. We're speaking that the shomer pretended it was stolen. It was discovered that he was the thief, and there's kefil to be paid in this case. So you're suggesting that this is the case of the pasuk. Perhaps it's speaking about an actual thief, not a toyen tanas ganav, a shomer who pretended thievery. But then we have another pasuk. The ganav was not discovered, was not found. So that pasuk is speaking about a real ganav. Apparently, this pasuk over here, Yimatzah Ganav, is B'toyen Tanas Ganav Hakas Medaber, apparently speaking about a Toyen Tanas Ganav. So according to this brisa, the pasuk Im Yimatzah Ganav is a Toyen Tanas Ganav. The pasuk Im Lo Yimatzah Ganav is a Ganav himself. Tanya Idach, we have another brisa which disagrees. Both are speaking about the same person who is a Toyen Tanas Ganav. Im Yimatzeh Ganav is so according to this brisa, Im Yimatzeh Ganav is a Toyen Tanas Ganav, and Im Lo Yimatzeh Ganav is going on Kishu Omer. But then we have a pasuk Im Lo Yimatzeh Ganav, and the Gemara later will prove that this is talking about a Toyen Tanas Ganav. Right? It was discovered that it wasn't as he pretended. There was no real ganav. It was really him. So that's the classic case of a Toyen Tanas Ganav. That teaches us Havi Omer, says the Bach. We have to add the words Havi Omer. That proves to us that in fact the first pasuk as well, B'toyen Tanas Ganav because Medaber is discussing a person who falsely pretended that it was stolen from him. Turns out it was discovered that he was the ganav. So according to this brisa, both psukim, Im Yimatzeh Ganav and the pasuk of Im Lo Yimatzeh Ganav, involve a Toyen Tanas Ganav. Tanya, we have another brisa which disagrees. Im Yimatzeh Ganav, that's going to be Ganav Atzmi HaKasav Medaber, the thief himself, a person really stole, not a Toyen Tanas Ganav. Beganav Atzmi HaKasav Medaber. You're suggesting that we're speaking about a regular thief. Maybe it's a Toyen Tanas Ganav. No, we already have a pasuk for that. When the pasuk says Im Lo Yimatzeh Ganav, which is clearly a shomer who pretended that there was a break-in, so that's already been addressed in that pasuk. Hari Toyen Tanas Ganav Omer. So that pasuk addresses a Toyen Tanas Ganav. Ha'mani Mekayim Im Yimatzeh Ganav. So what is the pasuk addressing when it says Im Yimatzeh Ganav? Beganav Atzmi, HaKasav Medaber, a plain thief. So bottom line is the Kuli Alma Mias all seem to agree that Im Lo Yimatzeh Ganav, that pasuk is certainly going on a shomer. B'toyen Tanas Ganav Ksiv. My mashma. Where do we see any indication of a Toyen Tanas Ganav in this pasuk? Amarav, it means like this: Im Lo Yimatzeh K'ma She'amar, Ela Shu Atzmai Ganvai. When it says Im Lo Yimatzeh Ganav, what happened was the shomer had presented a story about a ganav. Im Lo Yimatzeh Ganav, it's been discovered not as he presented. The story was a bit different than he suggested. Im Lo Yimatzeh K'ma She'amar was discovered not as he had told us. Rather, yeah, it was stolen, but guess by whom? Elo Shehu Atzmai Ganvai, he himself is the thief. Pasuk concludes, Yishalem Shnaim, he pays double like a regular thief. So now we know that there is an idea called Toyen Tanas Ganav. But how do we know that it involves an oath? That it only happens if initially he had defended himself with a shvur. The Sanya, we have a pasuk, V'nikra Balabayis Elohim. So the owner of the item that was entrusted by the shomer, came to the bezdin, Alim is the bezdin, l'shvua, to force the shomer to make a shvua in defense of his position. So you're telling me there's a shvua involved? Maybe the pasuk is simply saying that I took the shomer to the bezdin so that he pays for the item that was stolen. Well, nemar shlichus yad lamata. We have an expression of in the pasuk referring to shlichus yad, where the person actually reached over and misused the item under his care. We have it down lamata, further down in the pasuk, speaking about a shomer sachar, a person who was hired to wash the item. V'nemar shlichus yad lamayla. We have the lashon shalach yad up in the beginning of the parsha by the shomer chinam, who was doing it as a favor. So we sort of make a connection, like zera shava, ma'al halan l'shvua, afkan l'shvua, just like over there by the shomer sachar, the pasuk revolves making a shvua as well. Here as well, we're speaking about a shvua. Okay, so we see that a shomer who reported a break-in, he backed it up with a shvua. It was discovered he is the thief, he pays kefil. But we have two ways to learn the psukim. According to one brisa, both psukim, im yimatzi aganav and im lo yimatzi aganav, are both about a toyin tanas ganav. According to the other brisa, im lo yimatzi aganav, turns out it was different in the ways that's a toyin tanas ganav, but im yimatzi aganav is a regular ganav. Now the Gemara will analyze the psukim based on these two opinions. It works well if you hold that one is for the ganav, one is for the toyin tanas ganav. That explains why we need two psukim, two different ideas. But if both psukim are on the same topic, toyin tanas ganav, why two psukim? Trei kroi lamali. Amri's the answer was chad lemuti tanas avad, v'chad lemuti tanas avad. We need one pasuk to tell you, look, toyin tanas ganav pays kefil. But if he had purported that it was lost, that's different. Toyin tanas avad pays no kefil. So that's why we need another pasuk to say, look, only by ganav, but not by tanas avad. Ulama, but according to the other shita, we have no pasuk available to teach us this wonderful halacha. Ulama da'amar chad beganav, v'chad b'toyin tanas ganav. According to the other approach, one is for the ganav, one is for the toyin tanas. L'miyata is no extra pasuk. So then l'mu'ute tanas avad benother. How does he know to exempt a tanas avad from kefil? Answer: miganav haganav. It says haganav. Could have said ganav. The extra hey teaches us that only through a claim of ganav as opposed to a claim of avad. L'madamar tavayu b'toyin tanas ganav. Now, according to the other approach, that both psukim on the toyin tanas ganav. Immediately toyin tanas avad, and one of these psukim, which appeared to be extra, was really coming to exclude a toyin tanas avad from kefil. So then, what's the extra hey of ganav? Haganav my dorish. What does he do with that pasuk? What does he do with the extra hey my dorish? Amar lach, he tells me boilik to Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rabbi Yehuda. It's for this halacha. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yehuda toyin tanas ganav v'pigadon mishalim tashlumei kefil. If a shomer was entrusted with an item, claims that it was stolen, was discovered that he stole, he pays double. And likewise, Tavachu Machar, if he did shrit on it, or he sold it, Mishalam Tashlum Abraham Chamish, he pays 4 or 5, like a regular ganav. So that's why the pasuk adds the ganav haganav. Look, we treat him like a regular ganav with all its ramifications, kefil, even dalad v'hei under certain circumstances. Says the Gemara, okay, what about the other shita? How does he know this? Interesting addition. According to the other shita, that one pasuk is for the ganav, one is for the toyin tanas ganav. The high ganav haganav, afke, the extra hay of ganav haganav, was already used. L'mutei tanas avad, to exclude a case where he claimed that it was lost rather than stolen. So then how does he know this halacha? Right? Because we have nothing available to teach us this new halacha of dalad v'hei, of Bava Kamma. Rabbi Yehuda Bava Kamma. Amalach, so the response is like this: Hekeshu ve'ein mishiven ala hekesh. That since one pasuk which speaks about a ganav and the other pasuk which speaks about a toin tanas ganav are close to each other, that allows us to make a connection, a hekesh. And say like this: just like an ordinary ganav carries potential for kefil, for a Bava Kamma, likewise a toin tanas ganav, despite the fact that his process is a bit more complicated. As we explained, he needs a shvur, but despite the differences between the two cases, the fact that there's a hekesh, they're stated in the psukim in close proximity, that allows for a connection without any refutations. Ve'ein meshivan ala hakesha. So we know that just like a regular ganav pays kefil and dalad v'hei, likewise a toin tanas ganav. B'shlem l'mad omar chad b'ganav v'chad toin tanas ganav shapir. So, according to the shita, that one pasuk is for the ganav, one is for the toin tanas ganav. So, we learn that kefil applies to regular ganav as well, right? But according to the shita, that both are going on a shomer who falsely pretends that there was a gneva, so we understand that he pays kefil. But what about a regular local thief? Ganav asma minoli. How do we even know that a ganav pays kefil? Maybe only somebody who betrayed, his friend, shomer who misused the. How do you know a regular ganav pays kefil? We don't really have a pasuk for that. V'chitim, perhaps we'll say leisi b'kal v'chomer mitoyin tanas ganav. Perhaps a regular ganav can be derived. Interesting, it can be derived through a kal v'chomer from a toyin tanas ganav. How? Even a shomer who took possession of this item legally, beheter. It was given to him as a deposit, right? So if he betrays the owner's trust, if he diverts it, if he misuses it, he pays kefil. Certainly a ganav comes in the middle of the night and steals something, of course he pays kefil. Is that a fear drasha? Says the Gemara, but yeah, to a certain extent, but still, daya love him in adin is kanita. Whenever we learn from a kal v'chomer, the derivative has to be similar to the source. So, the thing that you're trying to learn can't be more severe, higher, and greater than the source, where it's coming from, right? Makes sense, right? So, ma lahalam b'shvua, afkan b'shvua. So, where we're learning a regular ganav from a shomer who was a toyin tanas ganav. Okay, it's fair, but perhaps he has to conform to the same conditions as a shomer, as a toyin tanas ganav, who requires a shvua, as we explained before, to trigger the halacha of toyin tanas ganav. So perhaps a regular ganav is only going to pay kefil if he was caught and he swore falsely, right? But otherwise there's no kefil. Really? How do we know a regular ganav pays kefil? Nafkali midtana be'chizkiah, says the Gemara, we have a terrace to that, from the Braisa taught in Beis Medrash of Chizkiah, which begins a whole new discussion. Be'ezras Hashem, we'll pick it up tomorrow. So bottom line, we've learned today that just as a ganav pays kefil, a toyin tanas ganav pays kefil as well. A shomer was entrusted with an item, took it for himself, after having claimed that it was stolen and made a shvua as such, it was discovered that he took it, he pays kefil, and we learn that kefil applies to practically anything that was stolen. We have some exceptions. One is karka, one is avodim, one is shtoros, one is davar she'enim mesuyam. We found a source for toyin tanas ganav, and now we're looking for a source for the ganav who pays kefil. All the best to you and Atzlacha Rabbah.